everyone. Welcome to another episode of It's Crystal Clear, a show that's designed to tell your money where to go instead of always wondering where it went. My name is Felicia Young, and as always, thank you for allowing me to help you with your goals of better managing your money so you can fund your dreams and do whatever you want to do. This week's episode is called You're Better Than That. Let those words sink in for a moment. You're better than that. So I have the privilege of meeting with people often who allow me to help them to develop a game plan to get out of debt and to manage their money. I have people who allow me to get up all in their business. I know all about that latte factor, what your weak spots are, the full Amazon carts, the Sheen shopping sprees, the shoe store, the shoe store, the shoe store. I get to be all up in your business. One thing that I know for sure is your spending habits don't have much to do with money. Sometimes your spending habits are learned behavior. When growing up, you saw how your parents managed money, whether they were planners or splurgers. The way they treated money was passed along to you. Sometimes your spending habits are based off not having enough education about money at all. Financial literacy wasn't taught to you at home and it wasn't taught to you in school. You learned about money management through trial and error. Sometimes your spending habits are being used as coping mechanisms. When you're depressed, you shop. When you're sad, you shop. When you're angry, you shop. When you're overwhelmed, you shop. And during your shopping sprees, it does feel good at the moment. You look great in all your new clothes. You're walking a little differently in those new shoes. But in 30 days, when that bill comes and you can't pay it, you're depressed, sad, angry, and overwhelmed all over again. So recently I was talking to a mother and son, and the coping mechanism part came up. And I definitely got permission to share their story so it can be help to you and others. So at first, I was just reviewing their bank statements, looking at her debt to income ratio, trying to put a game plan together. What I noticed was she had pretty good income coming into her accounts, and her expenses weren't really all that much according to her bank statements. But on every credit card statement at a certain time of month, she would just have charge after charge after charge at particular stores. And she spent quite a bit of money at those stores every month, same time of month at that time. That caused her to be in a big hole financially every single month. So I asked her, what was that about? She put her face in her hand and she just broke down crying. It took her son and I off guard, and he went to hug her and he tried to get her to stop crying. Eventually, she stopped and she just stared blankly at the wall in front of her. I turned around and looked to see what she was looking at, and it was a big picture hanging on the wall. It was her wedding picture from 32 years before. She stopped crying, but the tears wouldn't stop rolling down her face. Her son told me that his dad passed away a few years ago and the family was still taking it hard. Her son looked at the credit card statements and said, wow, and explained to me what was going on, that he didn't realize until that moment this was happening. His mom and dad had been married all that time. They have 5 children, 3 grandchildren. His dad was obsessed with his mom, and his mom was obsessed with his dad. And it seemed like they had competition on who can show each other how much they love each other more. The son said it was so much fun watching his parents try to outdo each other. They knew what each other's favorite things were, so they would go overboard putting a twist on it. His dad loved watching NASCAR. He would spend his weekends glued in front of the television, cheering and making loud noises as he watched fast cars go round and round and round the track. The family never understood how he can get so much enjoyment from watching cars go around and round in a circle. But that was his thing. So they didn't bother him. One year, his mom surprised his dad with a trip to go see the races in person. He said his dad smiled from the time he found out about the trip until the time they got back. His dad knew that his mom loved beautiful clothes and lots of them. When she was growing up, her family was really poor. She got outfits, but never brand new. They were always hand me downs from her older siblings or her cousins. And the clothes never fit well because the sisters and the cousins were all different shapes and sizes. She got teased a lot in school because of the way her clothes fit. And even though her family explained about their limited finances, and even though she understood her family simply didn't have enough money for new clothes, it still didn't stop the sting from the teasing or her dream to wear beautiful clothes and shoes that were only for her. So her husband made sure her dreams came true. He got her credit cards to high end stores with beautiful suits, beautiful dresses, beautiful shoes. And they would go together to these stores at a certain time of month. He would sit in a chair, and at the store started teasing him about it and said that's his own personal viewing chair. She would pick dress after dress to try on. She would pick suit after suit to try on. She would pick shoe after shoe to try on. And she would come out of the dressing room and she would model in front of her husband. He would whistle and he would catcall and he would make all kind of comments approving of how gorgeous his woman looked. His reactions to her made her happier. He would let her pick anything she wanted to wear. And he picked several things that he wanted to see her in. And they would head to the counter to swipe. After a while, that outing became more than about a shopping spree. Became more than about buying clothes, more than shoes. It was their thing. It was their connection, something that they did together that made their bond closer. After her husband died, she felt a pain that was so indescribable and it wouldn't go away. She made a point to go to those stores, try on those clothes and shoes, and walk in front of mirrors, pretending he was there in his special viewing chair, whistling at her, catcalling, and making comments about how gorgeous his woman looked. She would spend hours in those stores just to escape her reality. Then she would go to the counter to buy everything that she wanted and several things that she knew he would want to see her in. But the cost of her temporary joy started to mount up on those credit card bills, and she couldn't pay them. She didn't share this cycle and this burden with her family. She didn't want them to worry about her. The only reason why it came out that day was because her son knew about his financial challenges and that we're doing a financial challenge at our church. And he wanted him and her to participate in it together to keep him held accountable to eliminate his debt. So I do not believe in coincidences. I just don't. I believe everything happens for its reason and at the right time. So I told her that she and her husband created an amazing life, raised incredible children who are now raising amazing grandchildren. I told her that their relationship set a standard for those who knew them, not including the expensive gifts. Just the way that they knew that they loved each other was the way that they made time to show each other that love. They made each other's lives incredible. They made each other's lives magical. And after talking to her a little while longer, I found myself telling her that she knows her husband wouldn't want her drowning in debt and living paycheck to paycheck because of it. That's not how they operated when he was alive, and that's not how he would want her to live her life right now that he's gone. I looked at her and I said, "You're better than that." So I am not a therapist. I know I'm not. But I definitely believe in getting therapy. I believe that God gifted therapists to help us get through some of gut wrenching situations. I know therapists can help you get better than the problems that's pulling you down the wrong path. She agreed, and she agreed that she would find one to seek help to help her through her grief. Her son promised that he would be there with her every step of the way. And she agreed that she would allow me to continue to help her with her financial game plan to get out of that cycle. She said she didn't want to be broke no more. She said she was better than that. So that conversation made me think about today's lesson. And those of you who are watching who need to be told that you're better than that. You may not be grieving the loss of a loved one that's causing you to spin out of control, but you are dealing with life that's causing you to overspend unnecessarily. Old credit card bills that you've been paying on for 5 years for shoes or clothes that you don't even wear anymore. Past due bills that's incurring late fees that's ending up being more than the original bill. Swiping those credit cards every single time you see a credit card terminal. spending cash every time you see a price tag. No matter what your reason is, if you're not actively telling your money where to go instead of always wondering where it went, when it comes time to funding your future, I'm here to tell you today you are better than that. In the very first episode of It's Crystal Clear, I told you how I came up with this podcast. I have a mission project that I'm active with in the country of Ghana in West Africa. Each time I've gone, I had the opportunity to have great conversations with different people in the community. They told me the stories of our rich heritage, the villages being governed by mighty kings and queens, the natural resources, crops, livestock, gold, spices, and people were wanted by many who knew its value. We all heard the horrendous stories of the slave trades and how enslaved people were dropped off along the route leading to America. We all heard of how our great 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 grandparents' time and talent were used to build this country. We all know that the opportunities that we have access to today is because of the hell they went through yesterday. When I was in Africa, I got to see how families live. You would see incomplete houses, you would see small cars, you would see thousands of people on the street daily walking around. To look at that, we would feel sorry for them, thinking that, oh, they're so poor, or thinking that they don't have money to live in big houses, thinking that they don't have any way to buy bigger cars, thinking they don't have better jobs to go to that's inside of nice offices. To look at them, you would probably pity their lives. But I had the chance to talk to them about their life. And believe it or not, they pity us. Yes, some of their houses may be incomplete, but what they do is work, save their money, and when they get enough, they add on to their home. They add on to their home, they add on to their home, and it may take a few years to complete their home, but from beginning to end, they are debt free. No mortgage. Oh, no one. Yes, their cars may be small, but they work, they save their money, and they buy their car. And they have no car notes, and they owe no one. Yes, thousands walk the streets each day, but they're working, raising crops, selling their fresh fruit and vegetables, the clothes that they sew, the jewelry that they design, their incredible gifts and talents. They make money from that. And they do not take their opportunities for granted. They do not overspend, they do not splurge, and they don't live in debt. What they need and what they want, they work for, they save for it, and they buy it, owing no one. When I had these types of conversations, I asked many of them, now that you've taught me about my history, what do you want me to do with this knowledge? And every single one of them told me the same thing. They said, you go back and you tell them who they are. Tell them they are not slaves. They are the descendants of kings and queens. They are people who own their descendants of people who own their kingdoms. Quit owing everyone money. Quit wasting money. Quit buying big when you can't afford it. Quit letting others make money off you and you remain poor. Take advantage of the opportunities that you have in order to live a prosperous life. When I came back to America the last time, I took what they said to heart. My team and I developed this podcast to come to you every single week with tips and tools, stories, assignments, resources to help you go from poverty to wealth, to go from lack to abundance, to go from that to this, to help you control your finances so you can fund your dreams, not bill collectors' bank accounts. Y'all are better than that. Whatever that is in your life that's causing you not to want to answer your phones or open your mail, that's causing you not to be able to have a real good time because you know at the end of that good time will be a big bill that you can't really even pay for. That's causing you not to be able to plan for your future because you're having to live off of the financial decisions of your past. Y'all, you are better than that. I need you to repeat that out loud or yell it in your head. I am better than that. I want you to post it all over your social media pages. I am better than that. Every time you go to swipe that card or every time you go to pull out that cash, if it's not something that's getting you closer to your goal with an attitude, I want you to say, I am better than that because you are. So I want you to believe me when I tell you that I want you to believe it when you tell it to yourself. I need you to say it again. I am better than that. Because yes, you are. So I did my job for the day. I told you what I had to say, and I hope that you are listening to me. And I hope that you are doing what you need to do to enjoy this incredible life. If you're stuck living paycheck to paycheck, using spending as a coping mechanism, or constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul, I want you to stop and figure out what you need to do to get out of that situation. Y'all, I promise, if you make time to do it, your life will be so much greater. I want you to make an effort. I want you to give it a try because you're better than that. So that is this week's episode, and I hope that what I had to say really blessed your life. If it did, let me know, and be sure to share with others who you want to be blessed as well. As always, I want to thank my behind the scene team for all that they do to make this podcast happen. I appreciate each of you, and I want to thank each of you for allowing me the privilege of helping you along this journey. Remember, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and we're on YouTube, so please share. Until next time, I want you to dream big, I want you to stay focused, and live your best life within budget. I'll see you next time on It's Crystal Clear.